the way to do it and could really secure yourself a ticket into the global finals, especially in the final two maps. We look at the plane line, we see where we're going. Everyone's jumping out. We have caves, you've got oil. Oil could get a little bit mixy here in that early game. You see that's where a stronghold is going to be, but moving on over observatory, likely where Huskerrs, Mutex, and Co are gonna get, but we've got the action and we are ready to see the pistol whipping engagements. Jerky though, gonna fall immediately as Russ and squad, they have taken an early exit.
Several early gunfights. This is to be expected, not only with 150 player lobbies or close to it, people contesting drop spots, changing up drop spots depending on the plane lines. Everybody usually has about 2 to 3 different drop spots that they prefer to land. One in particular that's their favorite, but should the plane line change it up, you might be contesting somebody you haven't been running into early game before. And given this is map 4, you might just be risking it for the Biscuit because, well, the Biscuit's top 4 to go to London. A lot of work to be done and still a lot of tournament to be played. My big question here as they wipe out Green Does, one of the squads that I was expecting to do well today. They've had kind of a tough shake. They're in 27th overall. The rest of my predictions doing pretty well, though. On Irrational's team, the only team that's maybe slightly underperforming. They're still well within reach, though, Tiff. In 11th place again going into this map. Just barely outside that top 10.
It is such a tough place to be in, right? Coming in with 40 points, knowing that you need to hit the 51 point mark, but that's only 11 points. Think about it that way. You get a win, that's only 5 or 6 kills, but our circle, it's kind of atrocious. And that makes sense of why some of our teams might have been looking to go into Quarry, go into Rohan, because that rotation is going to get really mixy here towards Observatory. And for our team, squad number 10 down in Sawa, that's going to be Solidify, Prospect, and Otterize. They're going to have a really nice rotation as they cut up through port.
I was taking a look at Team 9, Classic Pain Squad. Watch out for that team. They, in theory, don't have to move for the next 15 minutes and could pick up 15, 20 kills. I mean, everyone's going to be rotating through that pass that they're sitting on. Watch out for that squad. Now, likely they're going to leave because they're going to get antsy, but they legitimately could just sit on that edge of circle as everyone comes to them with how many teams did not land inside that circle. So if they get some information with some UAVs, comms vests, or otherwise, they might get a read on that and say, wait a minute, we can hang out for a while.
We definitely could, and just checked in with Nate Dogg and Co on your screen. 34 eliminations for that squad, but Team Diverge Locksteel on your screen. We were saying, hey, you know, this might be where you need to start stepping things up just inside that top 10, but it's top 4 where you need to be. And if I'm Juju, I'm looking for the opening mark, and there it is. Skyra's gonna fall. Good drill charge to follow up with. Mexichem. We just need to make sure that we can get that follow-up as Locksteel tries to lay siege.
Tiff, let's be very clear. You know, Juju's whole mantra going into stage 1 where he was top fragger was that I know I'm the best, I can chow anyone, I can win any gunfight. The thing is, when you get a knock on a team that you just on paper know that you're better than, whether it's because of the leaderboard today or the leaderboard that you've seen in the past, you fly at that team at this stage of the competition. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're leaving nothing up to question, nothing up to RNG. We are pushing that fight, especially when we have the advantages. Maybe even when we don't, we're taking 50-50 fights against teams that maybe we think are rather 70-30 fights in terms of percentages. But we swap back over to one of our challengers, Team Squad 16. A little bit of a mix here with 3 different squads, and I'm telling you, Hydro is one of my favorite places to fight, Tiff, just because there's so many different angles you can shoot from. You can also get shot from so many different angles.
Yeah, we know they've got the gunny, and they really like to stay into Hydroelectric, looking for some early game action, but they really haven't made it through that mid game, finding themselves in those higher multipliers because they're sitting with about, I believe, 15 eliminations as a squad. Kind of about 50% of what our top tier squads in the top 4 have already, but it's tough, right? When you start kind of turtling down in buildings, waiting for a team to lay siege to you, that's where you have to really start to worry, because our teams will push, they'll throw down bouncing betties, they kind of get a knock, follow up with a semtex or a drill charge, and make things a little more complicated.
I was getting some word from our statistician behind the scenes. Shout out to Shani. Most people favoring the Lockman, which is to be expected. We have a ton of signals, by the way, and I think that's to be expected too when you were paying attention to the LCQs. But if you're coming from stage 2, it's a dramatic difference. We're talking about like instead of like 9, we have like 42. It's that much of a difference. And well, Lockman still the favored SMG though, as Grev finds an elimination there on Blast and Riaz. Some teams, some people predicting thought Riaz's squad would come out on top. They're having a tough shake of it today. Adding in Blast apparently wasn't that little piece of salt or pepper to add the seasoning to make it the perfect soup. They really struggled in the last couple maps.
IQ, a bubble team on your screen right now, just outside the top 4, sitting in about 7th place. So they really need to lay it on here as well as we check in with Johnny Bro and co. OP Mark and Shaded Step are kind of laying havoc to this team with Chocolate last standing just behind them, but they do have the numbers advantage, and it looks to be as if they're just going to try to snuff him out. Chocolate going prone, saying, hey, nobody to see here, don't mind me.
Yeah, Chocolate's team, they had a decent run in stage 2, but they're currently situated in about 35th. Now, again, I said anybody could win, and Chocolate's going to get better of one, but then the trade comes through. Shade is going to win that one. It's just really tough if you're into the 30s at this point. You know, you're having a tough map here in map 4. At this point, it's kind of like, let's chalk it up. Let's play really smart. Let's prepare for the wild card, because there's almost nothing you could do. You would have to fly at every single team you see and drop a 60-pointer plus, and you maybe still don't make if you're down in the 40s after this map. So this is a crucial linchpin map to really direct teams' focus going into the final map, because some of these squads might even troll the final map or just go buck wild. It's going to change the entirety of the landscape of that map. This is a crucial one for any of the teams inside the top 20.
Ryda, booyah, closing the distance on our challengers team. Crew's already down. Gunsy falling as well. Ryda now stacking the staircase, looking for the last. Dark Savid already made his way out of the building, and now you start kind of snaking throughout Hydro, trying to get away, maybe go on that reset. Hopefully you got the cash to get your teammates back. Pops in the whip and says, I'm out. I don't want to run into squad number 22 either. I'm just getting out of Dodge.
Only 2 teams have been fully eliminated out of this map thus far. Several eliminations coming through, of course, on the feed, but looking at Hydro, this is really Ryda, IQ, and Booyah's POI to command for the next several minutes, maybe potentially several circles, depending. Now, we saw the circle, we saw the map, and again, it's favoring kind of that north western side of the map. So as all the teams are rotating in, I was taking a look back, and it does look like Classic Pain's team did just kind of hang out in their spot. That Team 9 I was shouting out, but several teams actually elected to rotate through the southern portion of the map through Saeed City. So let's take a look at it. Look how many teams actually elected to go around through Saeed. You can see 13, 31, 35, 42, bottom left-hand corner of the map, while Team 9 has just been hanging outside of caves this entire time. Yes, they're getting some action, just not as much as I thought they would be.
Speaking of action, Team Illy out there in the water by port, just living their best life, man. I mean, I just got back from Florida. They have a place called Crab Island out there. It's a little sandbar. It looks like that's what Hook and Co are out there doing.
Sure. Dropped the 0-point map in the first one. Maybe just trying to go for the win here, prepare for the wild card. I saw some people on the timeline saying that's their wild card team. CDL's going to come out on top. I think it's possible. We'll get into the minutia of that later. I know Danjo's got a lot of thoughts on it, but as we take a look at some of these different POIs and where people are fighting and as they're rotating in, again, all eyes on Team 19, 7th place overall, looking for top 4. Be incredible to see Booyah come back to competitive and make London and LCQs. Arguably one of the hardest times to make the London tournament, just how close it can be at the top. It's come down to less than a point every single time. Even in stage 2 in a finals, it was 0.2 points. EU LCQs, 0.6 points. Every single kill matters. Every place matters. Continuing to find some here from IQ.
Not a bad positioning here for Clown Squad. They were 3rd in that map that Chrissy won. We saw Clown, I believe himself, kind of just flying in late game, getting picked off on the roof behind them before they set their sights onto Team Colony. But they have just kind of inched their way into the top 4. Now, granted, with the points being so close, it's only a rather handful of eliminations that'll move the margin here. But Nate Dogg has just been consistently at the top of the leaderboard. Now, granted, that differential is only 3.2 now, and at a 1.5x multiplier, which, hey, at some point when we get to that 1.6x in the top 10, it's only just a handful, maybe 1 or 2. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, this is kind of that cluster we were talking about. It's the edge of that cluster just on the outside of City or rotating through City into the POI at hand. Nate Dogg's team hyper consistent. I mean, this is reminiscent of Rocket and Morpheus from yesterday, right? You're not necessarily riding home just a massive amount of kills. Nate Dogg has yet to find his first, but they've been playing consistently. Now, in a bit of trouble, they actually swapped in Raul onto this squad, who originally played with Mutex. Of course, Mutex now playing with Huskerrs, so a fun little addition to the team, seemingly paying off. Having some nice success today. They got to keep up the pressure, though. They are not in the clear. Again, the cutoff yesterday was 86 points. The cutoff during NA Finals was in the 90s, so you need to at least get up to about there to really secure, quote-unquote, your spot to the finals. No one in the clear. Everyone fighting for position.
Hey, look who made it back to land. Hook. Now they're just in front of Nate Dogg. Don't really want to leave this building just yet, especially when you don't have the resources. Okay, there we go. Team sharing. Tappa, though, doesn't seem to have any plates. They do have 2 self-reses, but squad number 13 is going to make a play for Illy and Hook. And honestly, I don't want to be the one to chow them on a 1v1.
I don't either. Notably, by the way, Nate Dogg, their entire team doesn't have a single gas mask on hand, so just keep an eye out for that team late game. Might have to kill somebody with one and take it to have a chance there in the late game. Here goes Illy. Been here 1,000 times. Won championships in these positions 1,000 times, but this is Warzone. It's a little bit different. Finds one. Takes some shots. Smartly trades off back. Trying to bait these players in, and they know it. Hook playing long. Looks like maybe a flank trying to wrap around. Illy knows it. Here's the footsteps prepared, waiting, and yeah, you're not winning a gunfight 1v1 against Illy, but especially with the trades coming from behind, Illy trying to run out. Doesn't quite get to cover in time. It's now up to Hook.
Hook has no plates. Just a dream. Hits the rotation. See ya out of there, but you might run right into Nate Dogg and co. Able to grab some ammo, but at this point, you know, it just makes me think of like a mouse in a maze, just trying to find their way out.
That's right. That's exactly right. You win 1v1 gunfights, but that's unfortunately, especially for Warzone comp, 1v1 gunfights almost never happen, especially 50-50 gunfights that you can just win off pure gun skill. It's so rare in Comp Warzone. Comp Warzone is all about team chemistry, rotations, knowing the map, you know, getting information to be able to make smart plays, taking gunfights before maybe even that player knows that you're shooting at them. Speaking of that very instance, Brolic finding one on Watch Waldo, and all of a sudden they're swarming to finish off this team.
Dude, Team Intex here at Rohan. Trying to take down Colony would be a big win for them because they are just ahead of them in the placements. This squad was at one point in the top 4, but has slowly staggered themselves out. Little jump and push to shove. Able to get a big win there. Go believe, I believe. But now you still got to get to the circle, and you got to have your squad intact.
Brolic looking pretty solid. They don't have a ton of kills, but they're clearing up their rotation to make it a little bit more free. Let's take a look at the map one more time. Squad at hand, by the way, is Team 3, so you can see them coming out of oil, top right of the circle, top left of course, the map. Several teams trying to do a lot of the same, so they actually might be able to hang out here for a little while and pick up a few more teams rotating in. But the big question mark about all of those teams already dead center of circle, Tiff. I mean, talk to me about this edge. This is the team I was going to talk about. 31, 47, 15, trying to hold down some of this edge use cases of this circle. Depending on where it goes from here, though, I don't really love this positioning.
It's tough because the buildings aren't super close together, right? And if you do run restock, you're only going to have 2 smokes. Yeah, a lot of these teams are going to get kind of just eviscerated as that rotation is coming through. Your bonk, yeet, Future has game. I was keeping my eye on them because they were going to be rotating from that like kind of more northeastern side, not necessarily all the way at the top, but kind of more towards the middle on the outskirts of Cave. And they'll have to go throughout a lot of mountains, but they're going to be rotating down from them. Should be kind of easy, but we look towards a typical rotation from the outskirts of Port. Is drone, great use. You can usually get to high ground. You can see Squad 22 out to the right. They likely will have some free shots onto Prospect. You're gonna have to dive down immediately. The fact that this building is free is pretty nice.
It is nice. You can catch a couple teams rotating in if there are some. Now, this is kind of one of the remaining fights in this area. I was looking at the map earlier, and it was Team 3, Team 7, and then Team 18, which seemingly has kind of backed out to the south side of oil. So this team fight here is crucial against 2 teams battling for position. One much higher than the other, but both well acclaimed, and many people predicted both could potentially make London. And right now, I think Squad 3 is going to make sure Team 7 does not make it.
Emrius able to get out for squad Xenon, but
Jeez.
Intex has you in the line of sight. Precision. Signal 50, just trying to make some happen. He's actually going to reposition right before Emrius peaked, kind of saving his life without even knowing it. Does have the PA to look to follow up on it should they need it, but they still have to rotate. And Emrius is going a little bit further north to kind of cut over, but let's jump on back. Huskerrs, Mutex, Jesus Jr. in second place on the leaderboard. Looking solid.
Look, my predictions are looking okay, and it's because of that Huskerrs team. I've seen them in scrims. They are firing on all cylinders. They're moving at the same beat of the drum. Chemistry was the big question for that squad, and they're doing well. Several other teams trying to harry them, but as we take a look at here at Squad 14, Clown, Munch, they've been having a pretty decent tournament thus far, but they need to really pick up the pace and make it into top 4. Check out a couple of the squads. Tap on your screen. Nate Dogg's team, they've been playing nice and slow, and I guess maybe that's their strategy, is just make sure we're in the top 5 every single time. There's Jesus in a little bit of trouble from distance from Team Juju, but plenty of cover to work with. Potentially kind of sandwiched between a couple squads, but I don't mind that spot, given the kind of high ground position and the fact that they're still in zone.
Team Green Nose fully eliminated. Squad 9, Team Classic Pain fully eliminated. That's going to be at the hands of Juju's squad. And you were asking, you know, would it be enough for Team Cloud?
Yep.
They're actually in third Gauge, so they're doing pretty well here. Chrissy is now officially fallen out of the top 4, and Team IQ is in by just 0.2, which, look, we've seen that before in the positioning here from squad Huskerrs and co. I think it's good, but you know what we saw the map number 3 when Mutex had that ultimate high ground and ultimately had to pass up on the location because that rotation was not going to happen. Could potentially happen here if it starts to ultimately pull away from this. OP mark just in the distance, but Intex Brawl, I believe they have to step it up here.
It's a great shout on Team Clown. They went from 6th to 3rd, kind of sneaking under my radar a little bit. 6 going in to map 3, then had a pretty solid map push all the way up to 3rd. They are tied for 3rd with Team Chrissy right now going into this map. So a fun team to continue to watch out for. A little bit of a surprise, not on a lot of people's radar. Always good to see. Had that EU yesterday. Speaking of under the radar, Believe gets taken out from nowhere, it seems, as Locksteel and co. Juju set up a small pinch here. 2 on one side, 1 on the other. Not a bad play, especially when you got height.
You've got Colony in the distance, just trying to keep the dream alive and maybe get into a higher placement for that squad. Almost to that 1.4x that'll happen when you get to the 20th place. But Intex Brawlic moving as a unit, kind of together. They still need to get past both of the squads, but if they can manage to hit a nice third party off this and clean up, would be the ideal way to go about it.
Yeah, this is crucial. This is Locksteel team in 9th versus the team in 10th with Team Colony. And then we're going to swing to the other side of this circle. Several teams got here early. That's Reader, Lovey. But this fight is a crucial linchpin moment. The team in 10th and the team in 9th fighting for position, jockeying around each other. While Brawlic and Intex and Believe in 5th going into this map. All of these high-value squads all trying to make London and all fighting each other. And to be honest, I'm not sure they can get out of it with at least one of these teams not falling.
Dolphin diving, hitting the rotation. 18 seconds before that circle will be finished closing. And you've already lost out on the early rotate. Those squads didn't actually take each other out like you would have hoped out. So now, I mean, you can even see like Huskerrs is going to be that next team that has even set up shop there, looking to clean up the rotation. Believes can turn their sights on to Watch Waldo, Trey, and Colony. Might as well pick up as many eliminations as you can. Good knock. That fence ain't gonna cover you though, and you're gonna lose your life with just a knock. Unfortunate.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. There was 3 teams here. 1 team abdicated. The other 2 were left to fight each other. I don't think both of these teams will survive unless you see some massive wrap that for some reason isn't glanced at. You can see Watch Waldo's squad. Again, Watch Waldo was in 10th going into this map. Locksteel squad was in 9th, and this squad on your screen's in 5th. So again, all high-value squads. And the Chrissy squad still alive as well. Pretty free and clear here on edge of zone. A little bit further south from the squad in question now on your screen. But they were tied for 4th. So a lot of big-ticket teams still up inside the top 23 as the circle continues to close. We're now moving into what will be the 6th circle. And I don't mind a potential wrap here in from Chrissy. If they can get a pick as some of these teams in are on the edge holding them, like, they've got a pretty clear pathway where otherwise it looked to be pretty detrimental, especially if Colony and Watch Waldo are in trouble here with Brawlic squad.
Brawlic back up to a squad of 3. Their ability to get the buybacks are pretty impressive. Intex, though, needs to join up with the squad. Oh, good. He's got Brawlic here. Gonna get rezzed. Okay, it's believed that they bought back and is in the air now. Intex with a signal 50. This is going to be really detrimental to Colony's team's rotation in, but they have to be very aware as they keep rotating throughout that things are going to get mixy. Chrissy now into the mix of things. Huskerrs, Mutex, and Jesus, they're going to be looking to kind of gatekeep this, and playing around those kind of rock pillars are not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, not the easiest. It's going to take some skill, but a decent bit of cover to play with. The only reason Chrissy's team made it into the circle, by the way, was because Brawlic's team was harrying Watch Waldo. Otherwise, Watch Waldo's squad easily takes out Chrissy's team on a massive wide open wrap. They were able to just kind of sneak through the open. Probably didn't even have to use smokes, albeit they likely did just to be safe. So both those teams have made it to circle, or about to be. Team 18 is Watch Waldo's squad. Chrissy's squad here hanging out inside the rocks. And yeah, I mean, Mutex has got a nice hold here inside of cover. Probably my favorite position of the rest, but it's a small building. All it takes is one more team to pinch and swarm, and you're going to see Mutex's team go down. They're going to try to just ride it out to top 10 from here.
I think Chrissy just picked up another down with the signal 50, and we know she's good with it. She's just starting off today, but we're all about the placement multiplier. Dandra talked about it in the opening show. We're gunning for that top 10. That 1.6x is going to make the biggest differential when it comes to climbing up the leaderboard. And if I'm Team Chrissy, who's already won map number 2, but has actually fallen out of the top 4. And if you look at that, none of the teams in the top 4 right now have actually won a map. They're just banking off the 1.6x, the 1.8x, and just flying at people. And Nate Dogg, he's in your first place right now with 60 points, and he's a floater.
Gotta float, gotta play for positioning. Here's the push, though. Here comes Team Chrissy. Are they gonna try to take the building? I think so. A 3v3 for crucial positioning and a crucial multiplier. Who makes the first mistake? Nades to zone off, and Team Chrissy trying to set up for the potential push. I know the comms right now from Huskerrs and Mutex and Jesus are immaculate. Usually you expect Mutex to be screaming, but they've really honed in on their comms as one of their major improvement points throughout all of the scrims they've done the last week or so. And it's been paying off in scrims, and it's paying off today. Second place going into this map and staying patient on the edge. They are going to be one of the last to rotate, but they are farming this multiplier 3 spots away. Here comes the zone. Here comes the push. Who makes the mistake?
Jesus puts the sights on him, but you do have squad number 1. Yeet looking down the barrel at them. He gets taken out by a precision from Chrissy. They use that to kind of zone off their rotation, completely decimating Mutex and Jesus. Huskerrs last alive, wants to call in a streak of their own, gets punished for it. Still outside the ring, no more gas mask to boot. This is going to be detrimental.
But made top 10, might make top 5. Look, all of a sudden we're down to 6 teams. This is what happens when you get a circle like this. Huskerrs has to push through the mortar strike because he's out of his gas mask. Might get there, might get a knock on the way and make it inside his zone. Top 5. Huskerrs goes big. No, did not net that kill, but did net a 1.8. Huskerrs goes massive for the team. You're going to see them likely maintain that second place position, if not higher. Huge mainstay to get the multiplier and get a sizable amount of kills along the way. Massive game for Huskerrs squad, but who's gonna win map 4? There are 3 players left for team 2 and then 2 for squad 14. Team 2, of course, Tiff, one of the teams that we talked about earlier. Reader, Lovey, Authorized had a great stage 2, just barely missing the qualification. They've got a big game on their hands. This could be enough to put them into the equation.
Plenty of ammo. This was the squad that took the gnarliest rotation. Is Authorized, finds at least 2 or 3, completely decimates squad 14. Now with only 3 squads left in the lobby, Reader is just trying to reposition themselves. They have the zone pool. They've taken down another, and just like that, they end Little Mario for a map 4 win.
That's a massive victory for that squad. Again, they got 17th overall in the stage 2 finals, just barely missing out on a trip to London. But they're here, they're back, and they're making big waves in the final moments of this tournament. Map 4 victors, Authorized, Lovey. Big win. We'll see where they end up on the leaderboard. Want to take a look back on that winning moment.
I can't hit him. He's making the fucking ruin thing again.
I'm down here with off. Watch your left, Lovey.
Gas is moving.
I see him. He's right there.
Where?
Move to the safe zone.
I see him. Yep.
On my left too. I broke one in the left. I broke one left.
Cracked him on the right.
Knock. He's rolling right. Dead. Here we go. There's a solo on my left. Okay. I'm reloading. I'm playing this hoodie. Hey, hold on. Cross him left. Wide left. Yeah, let's go.
Fucking go, man. Come on. 48 points, baby.
Baby, good shit. That's what I'm talking about, babe. Let's go, boys.
Let's go, babe. Yeah, good shit, babe.
Good shit, babe. Good shit, dude.
Yeah, good shit, babe.
Whoa, Tiff. 48? Like, I thought it was pretty solid. I didn't think it was 48 solid. That's the double signal 50 cheese. Talk about last cheese qualifier. That was a nutty finish. Well within their right. Of course, they have the ability to do that, but not something I was expecting to see in map 4.